Hello everyone, welcome to this follow-up video. For those of you who don't know, when I do a first reaction, a full album listen, about a week after that, I do a follow-up video kind of explaining my thoughts on the album after dust has settled, time has passed. Sometimes my opinions change, sometimes they stay the same. And this time, we are talking about Spirit of Eden by Talk Talk. I had heard Laughing Stock. How long ago was this? Let me just take a quick look. This was July of 2019. So it's been over a year since I've heard that album. And I listened to Spirit of Eden about a week ago. Fantastic album. I feel like it's right on par with Laughing Stock. Some might argue that it's almost like, I wouldn't say samey or redundant to have both of them exist, because I think that they do slightly different things, but with just a very similar toolkit. Very sparse instrumentation. The way I described it in my reaction was it's like you're in a big white room like in the Matrix, and you're just kind of looking around, and like you occasionally will just see like glimpses of music, but it's like it's so quiet and minimal and sparse. With a lot of these tracks, like especially towards the end with I Believe in You, which has some of just the most like transcendental or transcendent, I don't know what the right word is to use, kind of like string organ synth stuff. And it's like you're rewarded with like typical pop melody or chord progressions, but even still they're slightly like disguised, or there's like a veil over them where it's like it's not quite as, straightforward and enjoyable as normal pop music, but it's like you get rewarded with that as time goes on. Rainbow, great opening track, kind of sets the mood. Eden has these awesome crescendos that just kind of collapse on themselves. Desire, very interesting, like harder song that has a little more of like a rock crescendo to it that's very kind of messy and interesting. Inheritance, pretty good, probably one of the low points on the album, but it's not necessarily worse than the other ones. It's just kind of like a lull or an interlude kind of leading into the last two tracks, which are I Believe in You and Wealth. I Believe in You might be one of my favorite ones on here, just like I said, those swells towards the end. And then Wealth just kind of feels like you're just being like lifted into heaven. It's like, or just kind of pushed off into what would be Laughing Stock later. And it's just so remarkable. In a way, I feel like the two albums kind of like should be flipped. Like I talked about how I liked listening to Laughing Stock first and then going to this, because in a way, Laughing Stock feels like a little colder, a little more distant, quieter, calmer. And this almost feels like, kind of like this ascension to heaven kind of album. And so it almost makes more sense to listen to Laughing Stock first and then this one, just kind of thematically. But yeah, really solid album, really solid. I loved it a lot, would love to have this and Laughing Stock on vinyl, but I'm a poor man and I can only afford, food right now. So that will have to wait, but this is definitely like a good vinyl choice, for just like setting, on your turntable and just letting it play. Really good, solid stuff. I want to listen to The Color of Spring and Mark Hollis's solo, his like one single solo album. I want to do that as well. And I'm going to hold off on those for reactions. Since I've already done two Talk Talk albums, I'm going to save them for, doing them on the channel. So expect those at some point in the future. Don't know when, but very eager to get to those because I loved these two albums. So that is all that I have to say about Spirit of Eden. Thank you for watching. Godspeed.